What's up, everyone? Kevin here from Skywatcher. Welcome to another episode of the What's Up Webcast. Excuse my voice. I got a cold. I got allergies. Don't know what it was. It was really cold in New York during NEAF, and then to come back home to Arizona where it was hot. I don't know what's going on. So my voice is a little shot, as it happens about twice a year, as if you have not noticed from doing the webcast. But anyway, so excuse my voice. We'll get through this today. Today we're talking about NEAF and NEAIC 2025. A lot of you stopped by, said hi. You had a lot of kind words for the webcast and our team, and was really pleased to be able to speak with so many of you. So thank you for the kind words. And those of you who stopped by, said hi. It was nice to meet you all in person. So we're going to go over some of the new stuff that was at NEAF. Of course, we're going to talk about the Skywatcher stuff, but there's also some other stuff that was there. I did not get a chance to walk the floor in depth as much as I wanted to this year. We were quite busy. If you were there, you saw it was quite busy. Our booth was in the middle, and it was one of the largest booths there. So we had just tons of stuff. Literally about 2.5 tons of equipment is what we shipped this year, or just shy of that. So a lot of work. Before we get started, if you like what you see here, please go ahead and subscribe. Leave a like on a video. Lets us know we're doing a good job. If you have ideas for a future webcast, go ahead and email us at info@skywatchusa.com and title that What's Up. So if you want to support us a little bit more, you can always go to skywatchusa.com, pick up some cool gear if you're looking for stuff, or your favorite dealer. And then you have skywatcher.threadless.com for a bunch of cool swag and all that fun stuff. So check it out, or just leave a like and subscribe. It lets us know this is a fun thing to do, which many of you at the show told us. So that's awesome. It was great meeting so many of you, and thank you all, as always, for the support. All right, let me get this in order. There we go. So, if you're not familiar with what we're talking about today, we're talking about NEAF, the Northeast Astronomy Forum, which takes place in Suffern, New York, at the Rockland Community College every year in April. I believe this was my 13th year of doing this. That includes the COVID years when we did the virtual NEAF. Excuse me. This is really the show, at least for North America, where the entire industry, or a large majority of it, gets together and shows off our latest and greatest equipment. It also gives us a chance to interact with people and just be a part of the community. So it's a really fun show to do. It is a tremendous amount of work and logistics. It is usually, before NEAF, is a smaller show called the Northeast Advanced Imaging Conference, or NEAIC. And this year it was after, from some scheduling things that had occurred at the venue. So usually it would be NEAIC first and then NEAF. This year it was NEAF, then NEAIC. So it was a little different. Again, generally in April at Rockland Community College, largest astronomy equipment show in North America. I do realize there's probably more of these shows in Europe, but there's a different division of Skywatcher that handles that arena. This is usually, at least for Skywatcher USA, when we like to announce new products and show all that off. So if you're into equipment, this is really the place to go. You can meet just about everyone from all the major companies there. And it's a great way to just see the community. It would be cool if you could convince you guys to come to AstroCon 25 in June. reason why we're not going to AstroCon in June is because I'm generally going to Grand Canyon Star Party. Jared from our team is coming up to Grand Canyon, and then some of our other team will just be getting back from the Build Expo in Manhattan like a week before. So AstroCon just didn't line up for us this year. It's not that we don't want to go, and we do have a lot of stuff we want to go to. I will let you know right now that a large majority of the telescope community is trying to be very, very cautious because of the way tariffs are going right now. It is a mess. And we're just trying to batten down the hatches for this storm the best we can. So there's a lot of things that we're having to take a look at and just be very cautious of it. So AstroCon has always been on the list. It's just scheduling. Let's see. Is there any equivalent show on the West Coast? Unfortunately, no. Would love one. There's been a lot of talk about having one, but right now, nothing. It takes a lot of work and a lot of money to make a show like this go. And having a venue large enough for something like this, I mean, it's not large per se compared to like CES, which is ginormous. But we would need a very large venue. NEAF happens in this field house in New York. It worked out well. But I would love to see something in the West. There's some interesting stuff percolating on different things, but nothing that's come to fruition at this point. And if I hear anything that's actually real, you can I will let you guys know. Let's see. Are we going to Texas Star Party? No. Texas Star Party this year, we always try to go to Texas. We like going to Texas, but NEAF was just about 2 weeks from today. We were setting up our booth for NEAF, and a lot of our equipment from NEAF just got back to our warehouse in California. Logistically, for us to do NEAF and TSP, people are going to TSP right now. I believe it starts this weekend. It was way too close for us to do both shows or events, because Texas isn't a show, but it's an event. All hands on deck for NEAF. TSP is usually in May, and it just did not logistically line up for us this year for us to go to Texas Star Party. What's my personal favorite booth to visit when you go to NEAF? I bounce around because I'm friends with a large majority of the industry. So I always like to stop by and see Astrophysics, Stellar Vue, Tele Vue, Lunt, Prima Lucha, Los Mondi, Starlight Express. So there's not one particular booth that I guess I gravitate to. I like to see my friends. So it's the Solar Star Party is really cool to go to outside. Unfortunately, the weather did not cooperate for that. But yeah, it's just fun to be there. So it's just to see vendor friends I only get to see once a year. So although I will say that Astrophysics really brought it this year. Have to applaud Roland and Marge and Karen and George and the whole crew. Brian, who was there. And we're going to talk about their stuff because I have to say personally, their stuff was the most impressive new stuff that was on display. Let's see. As far as the Skywatcher crew, here is all of us from left to right. We have Alex, Jared, Jeff, and myself. So this was right before Saturday where NEAF took off. My fiance Chelsea was there. Some of you probably met her at the booth and at NEAIC. You probably see her in some pictures here. But she wanted to see what it was all about. So she got a crash course in the world of telescopes in our hobby. So, all right. So, just going to go through some stuff here. For Skywatcher, all the stuff I'm about to talk to, we've already done episodes on. But it's our webcast. Have to fly our colors for a little bit before we just jump into all the other cool stuff. Of course, you guys saw the HAC 125DX. We did a episode on that last week if you want to really know the details. So just some quick bullet points. I really don't want to make this into a Skywatcher commercial. That's something we really strive not to do here, even though it's our webcast. But if you want to know more about these products, we've already done episodes that go over these in depth. So this is the Honder's Advanced Catadioptric, 125 millimeter, 250 millimeter focal length, f2, 16 millimeter image circle, 8.4 pounds. This is a upgraded version from the original. Here's the original one. Hold on just a sec. There we go. This is the original HAC. There it is down there. Helical focuser in the middle there for 1.25" rear cell. And then the thread-off dew shield. And unfortunately, this did not get here in time for last week's episode. Some delays with UPS. Here's the NEAF version. This is the HAC 125DX. You can see there it is. There's the rear focus knob right here. Collimations in the back. Our cable port on the dew shield. The dew shield on the new model is a dovetail design. Let me do this with one hand. Pops right off real easy. And then your cameras mount up here in the front. I don't have an adapter with me at the very moment, but that's the HAC 125. This is the one that was at NEAF. That's the DX model. So yeah, that's the DX model. If you want to know more, you can go back to last week's episode. Full crash course into that. I'm sure we will do another episode on this, especially because I have one in my hands. At this point, it didn't get here in time last week. The camera in the picture here, we were messing around with ZWO during NEAIC when everyone was in a talk, so it was rather quiet. That's a 533 on the front. A cooled 533. Same right here. Oh, sorry, guys. There it is. That's a cooled 533. It does obstruct more, but it still works. I think it still runs at like f2.5 when you're got the bigger camera in the front there. Real quick, I looked into more of the Starlight Express cameras, which are right here. Their back focus for these cameras is 17.5 millimeters. So this is probably going to be not compatible with the HAC. Unfortunately, I really like Starlight cameras. I have to do some testing with them on the HAC, but the back focus, how deep the chip sits in their cooled cameras at the moment, won't work. So you'll probably have to end up using like one of their 1.25" guide cams, like an Ultrastar, or maybe the Player Ones or the ZWOs or whatever else is there. So just something to say. I was wondering the design, particularly the type of telescope. Is it a common design? Is it the first of its type? Is it a type designed by Skywatcher? So the HAC is based on the Honder's design, which is not new. there are different variations of a Honder's astrograph. This is the first Honder's camera design I'm aware of where it bounces light up at the front. But there are other Honder's designs. This one is just an evolution using that thought process. To me, it's the first one of its kind, but it's inspired by a design that already exists, which is a little modification. But the most common one that you'll probably hear of is the Riccardi Honder's, which is a very fast Cassegrain, usually made by Astrophysics. It has a 12-inch version, and the more common one is Officina Stellare out of Italy with their Veloce series. So, yep. Standard ZWO 585 cool will work. We played around with the ZWO puck cameras, like their standard guide cameras. They do work, and you can get them in there, and it should work fine. The problem is that camera, the USB plugs in on the side of the camera body. So the big part of the USB plug is actually in front of the light path. So you can use the ZWO 585 non-cooled ones, but you're going to get more obstruction because of how their cable plugs in the side. And that's true with any of their puck style cameras. You really want a camera where it plugs in the back. So the cooled cameras would work. The mini guiders would work. The Starlight Ultra Star guider, any 1.25" style QHY 5 would work just fine. So anyway, just that's how that would be. Rear focus on the primary, improved camera compatibility, improved dew shield design. If you were at NEAF and you were paying attention to the HAC, you might have noticed something hiding in its dew shield during the show. That is a... Where is it? Actually, I don't know why I'm just showing a picture of it because I have it. These are currently being tested. I need to do some work on this. We're working with a camera company to make a specialized set of cameras for the HAC. Here's the prototype. This is the 585 camera. My understanding from my engineering team is there's also a 533 version in development. I don't know these availability on these. I have no idea the price on them. They're just being tested right now, but these are specifically designed little tiny cameras with the ideal chips. These are one-shot color, and they are about the same size as the obstruction of the HAC by default. So you can see here's an HAC. There's the camera. See if I can do this without killing anything. There it is right there. And it does not really add much to the obstruction already. No, these are not cooled. There just is not enough room for us to do it. These are just standard cameras. But yeah, there's no cooler built in on these. But you are shooting so fast. And these modern sensors are so clean that they do a really nice job. So we're testing that. I'm sure we'll tell you about it if it becomes a real thing, but they are being developed. Would they work on other scopes other than the hack? Yeah, there's no reason these cameras shouldn't work on other telescopes. They're just not a cooled camera, but it's a 585 and a 533 sensor option. They're just very low profile. You could use them as a guider or uncooled on other telescopes. I'm sure they would come with standard nose pieces. Actually, that might even be 2-inch up at the top there. Anyway, we already blew through 20 minutes on one thing, so I don't want to get too into the weeds about it. The other mount that we showed, this is the EQ-AL55i. Again, this is our new little lightweight equatorial mount. We did a whole episode introducing this one. 22-pound capacity, dual counterweight bar position, so you can get to any latitude. That's what AL stands for, all latitudes. Wi-Fi and Bluetooth wireless connection. You can use our hand controller as an optional thing, or if you already have one, you can just plug it in and it's good to go. And it has a built-in illuminated polar scope. Again, if you want to know more about this, it's on our website. I think dealers have some in inventory right now, and yeah, they're currently available. The Heliostar 76. This was kind of the big thing for us, other than the HAC. Not surprise at NEAF, but it was the first time it has publicly been shown at an official capacity. We did bring it out to Starfest in August last year, the prototype, but this was the first time these were available, production units out for display. So it was really exciting. Unfortunately, we did not have the weather during NEAF to demo these at the Solar Star party, but we had one little slot on Tuesday morning at NEAIC to finally be able to showcase these to everyone who attended. So it was really exciting to finally get to show people how these things perform, and we got a lot of really good feedback from everyone. So of course, this was the introduction of the 76 millimeter, 0.5 angstroms, 11.5 millimeter band pass. Again, first official public display. Although if you were at NEAF or you saw some pictures, there was something else also hiding in the booth. And it was displayed at NEAIC as well, and also demoed. Some have asked already. We did showcase the Heliostar 100 prototype. I've actually had this scope under lock and key for about 6 months at this point, testing it behind the scenes. So maybe it was 3 months. I haven't had it that long, but here's the two of them together. You can see one of our 76s there on our Solar Quest, and in the back, just to give you an idea, that is the Heliostar 100 prototype on our Wave 150i strain wave, which is a really nice setup. You can pick the whole thing up and walk out the door, which we did. But it provided some really nice views. The 76 is a bit better, but 76 has been refined and it's released. The 100 prototype, again, it's a prototype. So if you got to look through it, it's a prototype. We are still refining the details on that, but we were able to finally show off one of the things that we have been testing. We don't often display any prototypes during trade shows, but with the Heliostars, it's a brand new region for us, product-wise, so we thought it would be really cool to show off the 100 millimeter, and the engineering team gave us approval to do that, so thank you to them. So yeah, that was it for Skywatcher. There was some other stuff hiding around that you might have seen, but we did not unveil them in official capacity, so I'm not going to go into details about them at all. We'll wait and show you guys the new lines that are coming out once we're in a more official capacity. All right, so one of the most talked about things at NEAF was Astrophysics. If you're not familiar with Astrophysics, they are one of the top dog companies. They're US based. They manufacture some incredibly high-end mounts, and their telescopes are world-renowned. And you got to get on a waiting list to get these scopes if you want to buy one brand new. And usually they show off at least one new thing a year. This year they showed off 3. So the big thing, which was the stuff under the blanket at NEAF displayed. Nope, that scope has still not been displayed at NEAF and at this or publicly. I don't know at this point if that scope will ever be shown. It's kind of been moved to the back burner right now in development, which is really unfortunate because I'm really excited about that. But no, the mystery blanket scope was not shown yet. So Astrophysics is world-renowned for their APO refractors. They've been around for decades. Actually, this was their 50th anniversary this year. But this year, they showcased a brand new design for them. And I really wouldn't be surprised if this becomes more of a trend in the refractor world, because you got to break the mold somehow. But they unveiled their Starfire CS Super Achromats. And the first one was the 155 Starfire CS. There are details on Astrophysics website about these. I am not in any official capacity for Astrophysics whatsoever, so I'm not able to really go into availability or anything like that. You can go contact them if you want to know more. This is a super achromat, which gives you this APO-like performance when it's in focus. It is a triplet design. You'd have to go on their website to read more about the details of these designs. I have no idea what the price is going to be. I asked. I did ask about the waiting list. If you are on the 155 or 160 Starfire lists from the past, you will be on the list for this 155. So if you've been waiting for a 155 or 160 Astrophysics for years, like I have myself, that is the list that these will be pulled from. So congratulations. Hopefully you get one. It's F6. It's 25 pounds, which means a 155 would fit on a Wave 150 mount very nicely. But again, no idea what the price is going to be. We're just going to have to wait. Probably going to be pricey, though. So, as in typical Astrophysics fashion. So keep an eye out on that one. A really interesting design. Their website says it includes the field flattener, and there will be a reducer for it. So pretty interesting stuff. But if you want to know more details about it, either give them a call or go to their website to find out more. This one was a big surprise. They unveiled the 190 Starfire CS, which is huge, by the way. 8 or 7.5 inch refractor. Same thing. It's 190 millimeter triplet Christian super achromat, which is what CS stands for. F6, 39 pounds. So you're going to need a pretty hefty mount to really take advantage of this scope. No idea on the availability of this. No idea how you get on the list for this. They did not have answers for that. So if you are an Astrophysics fan and you want to own probably one of the largest, probably top 5 largest refractors that they have built, the 190, it's going to be interesting, but it's a big scope. So be prepared, but more details are on their website if you want to know more about the Starfire CS series. I was told the 155s are going into production. 190, we don't know yet. Oops. So really interesting stuff that they branched out away from a standard ED triplet design and are now using the super achromat design. Pretty cool, though. The third thing was their new 1150 mount, which was, if you weren't paying attention, you could walk right by this thing. It looks like a hybrid between a Mach 2 and an 1100. My understanding is this is replacing the 1100 mount. It's a belt drive system. It has cable management to an extent, which they have details on their website about. You can also get it with available absolute encoders. They're optional. You have the ability to choose whether you want encoders or not encoders, which is great if you want to keep the price down, because adding the absolute encoders is expensive. So all the details, again, are going to be on their website. All three of these products are on their website. I checked yesterday, so go off and check that out. Celestron. The big thing for them was the RASA 6. This has been one of those scopes that's been requested, I think, at least since Origin was unveiled last year, I think. But the RASA 6 was the big thing for Celestron, the big little thing. This is the smallest Roe Ackerman Schmidt or RASA that they are producing currently. 6-inch, 150 millimeter, 335 millimeter focal length, f2.2. Image circle is 16 millimeters, but they say the usable field is 22, and it's 8.4 pounds, which is the same as the HAC is. So really cute little thing. If you've been waiting around for it, all the details are on their website. I believe they have this adorable little matching aluminum dew shield for it as well. But all the details for it are on Celestron's website. But that was the big thing from Celestron. So now the RASA series is 6, 8, 11, and 14. So there's quite an array of scopes there. It's a pretty well-rounded set, honestly. I don't know if they're going to do a 9 1/4. No idea. I don't have visibility to that. But 6, 8, 11, and 14 is a really nice family of scopes. But yep, you've got the RASA 6 out now. If you've been looking for a really high-speed, lightweight astrograph, there you go. Lunt. Lunt Solar System was there. Didn't get to use any of their stuff because the weather was just trash for both days for the sun. So didn't do much of anything with the sun. But they unveiled their LS 180 double stack. So this is the largest ED APO modular scope to date that they've got. So the modular design is now 60, 80, 100, 130, and now 180. This is based on a 7-inch or 180 millimeter f7 triplet APO FCD 100 lens. It's available in single and double stack options. My understanding is there's also a triple stack capability for this. It uses a really interesting pressure tune design for this, which has like a vacuum assembly with it. You'll have to talk to Lunt more about this. It was at their booth, but I really didn't get a chance to talk to them much about it. This can use a LS130 module to double stack, which is really cool if you already have a 130. It's available with either 18 or 34 blockers. And the starting price is about $25,000 for an 18 and $26,000 for a 34. And they mentioned about $5,000 for the double stack, but no details about a triple stack option. So if you are looking for a crazy multi-roll scope, this thing right here is a monster. You have to check it out. If you want more details, reach out to Lunt. I don't know if it's on their website yet, but if you want to know more, contact them. But another super large solar scope coming out on the market. Pegasus Astro. They did have their strain wave mounts there, but the big thing, of course, was Smart Eye. If you're not familiar with Smart Eye, This is a digital live stacking eyepiece. It's an eyepiece. It's a 4K digital display, all in one. Uses a 533 sensor. And basically, if you want to live stack with any kind of tracking telescope, you can get this thing. Powers with USB-C. You can tell it to take darks, and then you can just look through it, and it live stacks right there on the fly. So as someone who does outreach, this is an amazing tool. It's kind of like an ASI Air and a camera and live stack, but rather than having cables and all this extra stuff, it's all one thing. And I believe they said this would be coming and shipping about June. But we'll see. I am lucky enough, however, to be on the beta test team. So I have one. I'll be checking it out. I have not had the weather to do it yet, but I would say it's a little heavier than a 31 Nagler. So, it's a big hunk of something. Here is it compared to a 533 by itself. But there's the chip. There's the 533 color sensor in there. You look through there. But it's a digital eyepiece. And for outreach, I think this is going to be really, really cool. But I need to play around with it more. And when these start to ship, I'm sure we'll have someone on officially to really, really talk about it. My understanding is there's a lot of interesting things being developed to advance this further. So if you're into outreach or you've been thinking about one of these, they're coming, but it could make for some really interesting stuff, especially if we're in, if you're into outreach. But you're probably going to need a decent size scope to at least hold on to this thing because it's chunky. But I'll let you guys know more. I've only played with it here in the studio to get the dark frames ready, but I haven't had the weather or time to do it. Okay. Whoops. There we go. Oh, come on. Tele Vue, of course. Tele Vue is the top when it comes to eyepieces. They did unveil their Nagler Type 7s. I have not had a chance to use these at all. I think I'll get a chance in the summertime, hopefully, to check them out under the sky for a short amount of time. But right now there's 4 focal lengths, 19, 14, 9, and 5.5. 82 degree field of view, 19 millimeter eye relief. You can see the really weird barrels on the 9 and the 5.5. Those actually unthread, and there's 1.25 barrels in there if you want them, but the rest are 2-inch. I believe they're shipping these now. People were buying some of them at NEAF from dealers. I'm assuming these are like the Nagler design. Of course, they're 82 degree field of view. They are just revamped. And I really see these kind of replacing the Type 4 design because their specs are very similar. But they're nice. So if you don't need like the Ethos field of view, but you want something bigger than a Delos, like the 72, these are really interesting. I thought about getting a hold of one to take home to try it out, but I didn't need one. I mean, who needs any of it? But I just didn't need one. I've got these focal lengths really well covered. But I've heard very good things about these so far, and would love to try them out under some good skies. So those were one of the new things from Tele Vue. Tele Vue surprisingly did leak and introduce something that's in development and coming, which is actually the one I am most interested in, the 24 Delos. For years, the Delos have been out. They're like, I call them Ethos Light is what I call them. 72 degree field of view, very well corrected, lightweight. but they go from 3.5 millimeter to 17.3. And the 17.3, I've had a couple. My last one got stolen when my trailer got broken into a couple years ago, and I just haven't replaced it. But it's my favorite lens. It's good for solar. It's lightweight. It's got a nice field on it. I just haven't replaced it. I have a 18.2 Delos that I got from a friend of mine, which is really nice. But the Delos hasn't had any new additions for a while. But now the 24 is coming, and they had it on demo in a telescope, and it's fantastic. They were comparing it to a 22 Nagler. I like the rendering at the edges better. I feel like it's more evenly illuminated. I didn't get any of that ring of fire that you do get with some of the Naglers. Not as wide, 72 degree field of view compared to 82, but it's 2 millimeters lower. So I'm assuming the fields are very, very similar. And it's the first 2-inch barrel for Delos. And you might notice there's no bevel on the barrel. They've been listening. So you will notice that a lot of the new Tele Vues, even some of your favorites, if you're getting new ones, might show up without a bevel on the barrel. So it makes it really easy to get it in and out of the telescope or the diagonal. But this eyepiece right here, my understanding is it'll be coming out towards the end of 2025, maybe early 2026. I absolutely want one of these. It's a really nice focal length for a lot of different reasons, but this is something that I do plan on getting a hold of. No idea what the price is going to be, but I really like the way this eyepiece was working, and really excited about this lens. So we'll have to keep an eye on that one. I completely forgot to show you guys this video. We did a time lapse of our setup at the booth here. Here's our booth. I believe it's 20 feet wide, 30 feet deep. It was a total of 6 booths that we had. So here's the entire setup, just so you guys can see what we go through. Actually, here, let me back this up, and let me go to full screen for you. So it was like 3 or 4 hours of work, 7 pallets, and we had like 5 people doing this work. But 22 different display telescopes. So it was our biggest booth we've ever done, and the most equipment we've ever shown. We ended up bringing a lot of duplicates, particularly for like the Helio stars, because we had plans on taking some of them outside for the star party, solar star party, but weather did not allow that. But brought a lot of fun stuff, but it was a lot of work putting all this together. So I meant to show that earlier. Ultimately, NEAF is a great thing to go to. If you've never been, I highly recommend going. It's a really fun thing to do. You get to meet so many cool people. We get to meet all of you, which is really nice to put faces with names that we talk to every Friday. But the people is really what makes NEAF NEAF. And like I said earlier, we got to meet all kinds of people. Many of you, but we also met some new friends. Space Koala was there. Lutza and her husband, Mateo. We've never met them before. Didn't know they were going to be there. They came up to us asking to do a video. And there is a whole episode on this from Lutza and her husband, talking about NEAF and what we had there, as well as everyone else. So you can go check her channel out called Space Koala. We'll have to have her on the show. But she was a pleasure to talk to, and very nice meeting her. I butchered this one. I think it's Astro Reef. Spoken with him before. He was here last year, did a video again. I haven't seen the video yet. We talked about some stuff there. Then we had David from Cosmos Safari. I've already done a video with him for his channel. We're probably going to have him on our channel to talk about doing videos and what it's like. So it was cool to see him there. He's already released several videos from different people he's interviewed. So definitely go there. And of course, our whole crew and some friends on the last night there. You know, NEAIC was done. So went to a very good restaurant. There's a lot of good restaurants around there. But again, NEAF is all about just meeting people and seeing the new stuff and really building the community and having camaraderie, which all these events are about. So it's just a fun time to go. So highly recommend it. You can always go next year. They already have the dates released for next year. So go check it out and see what's coming for 2026. But that's it for our NEAF 2025 recap. I'm sure there was plenty more else to see. I just didn't have time to get around. We were just busy this year. And it's always good seeing everybody there. If you like what you see, please go ahead and subscribe. Leave a like on a video. Title it What's Up for an episode idea. Next week, we're having Richard Wolf Jacobson on. He is the founder of BB Labs and PiFinder. If you don't know what PiFinder is, you should really go check it out. It's this really cool device. Here's the older version. It is a little device that sits on your telescope. This is great for owners of Dobsonians. It acts like encoders, but it uses plate solving with a little camera to plate solve so you can actually see where you are in the sky, and it knows when you're moving and all of that. So if you want encoders on a telescope to move it around the sky, but you don't want to deal with encoders and the cables and install, PiFinder is the thing to check out. So please check it out next week. This is a really cool device, especially if you're a Dobsonian owner and you don't want GoTo, but you want some help finding things. The PiFinder is a cool device. I've messed around with it. I have one of the newer ones here. I just haven't had a chance to use it yet, but it's really neat. And we're going to have Richard here next week to tell us all about it. But they're very cool little devices. But that's it for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed that. There's some questions in here. How do you guys manage to bring all that stuff inside the building? The building that NEAF is at is big enough that trucks can drive into it. So our pallets are shipped directly there and delivered. Big trucks drop it off. Forklifts are there. And then we're also able to drive our vehicles inside there, load, unload, which makes it very easy. But yeah, it's all shipped directly to the college, and we just show up and all of our gear is dropped at our booth and we start setting up. So that's it. Not too hard, just a lot of work. Wonder if Tele Vue will be making other scopes. I wonder that too. They haven't had a new scope in a while, but nothing that I've seen. All right, everyone, that's pretty much it for this week. I don't see any more questions. If you like what you see here, please go ahead and subscribe. Leave a like on a video. And we will see you guys next week for PiFinder. And please have a great weekend. Clear skies to everybody. And we will see you guys next Friday. Take it easy. Bye. Oh, wait. Do you think Tele Vue optics are looking dated compared to other brands? No. I mean, telescope-wise, it'd be cool if they could come out with something new, but they know their sales. They know what works for them. But they're killing it with the eyepieces. So, and that's probably their bread and butter. So, all right, everyone. Thanks again. Clear skies. We'll see you guys next week. Hopefully my voice will be better, and have a good weekend. Take it easy. Bye.